Hello everyone, today I'm going to do the 22nd video of my database management systems practical video series. Today I'm going to answer for the 22nd question in the question list of the question list. And here you can find the question under the day 8 is the question 22. Before starting this question, I have to remind you we are continuing the question we started from question 17. So if you didn't watch those previous videos, you have to watch them first before understanding this one. Otherwise, you will not understand this question. And here's the first part of the question 22. Find the details of the students who participated in the Sinhala subject in the examination held on 2020 3rd 15, that means March 15. Okay, in this case you can see we have to write a select query. So let's go to our HDSQL browser. Let me show you the table which store the marks of the students. You can see this is the table which store the marks of the students and the terms or the exams they faced and the subject and the student the detail of the student who faced to that exam, and this is the main table. But in this case you can find in the question there's a specific condition to find the answer. We have to find the marks, or we have to find the students who face to the Sinhala subject and in the examination held on this date. So that means we have to connect. You can see the subject name, the subject name, the Sinhala language and literature, is stored in a separate table, and then the exam and the exam date is stored in a separate table, which is the exam term table, and those details are not shown in the student exam mark record table. That means we have to join those three tables together and then get the answer out of it. And you can see in the question we have to find the details of the student, not the index number of the student. We have to find the details of the student. That means we have to join the student table too, because that's the table which stores the student details, like this one here. Here are the students, and you can see we have to join this table too in order to get the student details out of the question. So here I am writing a select query. First join this table first and then write our condition. Okay, here's the here I am joining the tables. Select. For now I need all the details, so I'm using asterisk marks, and then from now I am mentioning the first table I'm going to join. Before that we have to mention the database name. It's not necessary to mention the database name because already we are in the database. You can see the little tick mark. That means the queries we are going to execute, they'll execute under this database name. But if you mention the database name, that will be a good thing. That will not do any harm. So I'm using the database, or I'm mentioning the database name first, and then here's the table. Here I'm connecting the student table first. That's because that's the table which is storing the student data. So, and then we can use the keyword join. There are many types of join in my database management systems. I told you those different kind of told you about those different kind of joins in my previous videos. There are self joins and inner joins, outer joins, full outer joins, right joins, left joins, like that. In this case we have to use inner join or a self join. In this case, I like to use the self joining method. So here's the keyword. You have to put the keyword join in order to define a self join query. Okay, here I'm mentioning the next table I'm going to join to the student table, which is exam mark DB, and here's the table name student exam mark record. And then we have to define the connection. What is the connection between these two tables, or what is the connection which combine these two tables? That means we have to define the foreign key, the key which foreign from a table to another table. Okay, here's the first table. Here's the first attribute which is going to foreign to the other table. Here I am mentioning the table name first. So student table, student, and then here's the index number. That's the attribute, or that's the key which foreign to the student exam mark record, and then it's equal to student exam mark record, and here's the student index number. Let's execute this one and see the answer. You can see all the records belong to these two tables are showed in the result in a corresponding order. Now we can join our other two tables. Here's the other table join, and here's the database name exam mark DB, and then we are joining the subject table because that's the table which stores the subject name, and here's the condition, or here's the connection, subject table, and here's the subject ID is foreign to the student mark record table. Actually the student index number in the student mark record table. So let's execute this one. This should be changed to subject ID, let's execute this one. You can see the subject table is joined to these two tables in our answer. Okay, now let's join our last table, which will help to extract our data. So here's the last one. I'm joining it, and then here's the database name exam mark DB, and here's the exam term table, and now I am mentioning the connection. It has a connection exam term table and exam ID, that's the attribute, is going to fall into the other table, student exam mark record, and here's the attribute which is equal to the other attribute in the exam term table, is the exam term ID. Let's execute this query. You can see we combine all four tables together, and now we can write our condition to this table, because these four tables are now working as a single table or a separate table. So now we can write a single condition to this table or to this query, and where I need the details only belongs to the Sinhala language in the subject table. So I am mentioning the table name first, subject, and here's the attribute subject name equal to it's better you use to grave as and marks before mentioning the attribute name. And here's the value. It should be equal to, let me copy the name. Let's go to the subject table and copy the name Sinhala language and literature. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see only the details of Sinhala language and literature are shown in the result, and it's not enough. We only need to find the marks or the details of the first term test. Let's go to our question. You can see, sorry, not the term test, under this table, the exam under this date 2023-50. Okay, let's define that condition 2 by using an keyword. And here's the table name. The dates of the exams are stored in the exam term table. So let's go to our query and exam term table. Here's the attribute exam date equal to, let's put this attribute name inside to grave ascent marks, and here's the value 2020 third 15. Okay, let me show you the exam term table again. You can see 2020 third 50, 2020 third 50. Let's execute this one and see the answer. You can see only the student details of the student who faced to the Sinhala language in the under these exam date are shown in the result. But we don't need all these details as the result. We only need the student details. So I need only the student details. So all from let's mention the table name, because there are many tables joined together. Here's the table name, student, and we need all the details. So I am using the asterisk mark, and that's the only detail we need from this query. So here I execute the query, and here is the result. These are the children who face to the Sinhala subject under that date in that exam. So we answer for the first part of the question. Let's move on to the second one. Sandul Vijayaratna find out the marks of the examinations in which the student appeared on 2020 3rd 15, the date of the examination, the term, the number of the admission, the name, and the name of the subject. Okay, here is a student. We have to find the term and the examination date, and then the admission number of the student and his name, and then the subject he faced under this date 2020 3rd 15, and his name is Sandul Vijayaratna. So using these two informations, we have to find his details. These details: date of the examination, the term, the number of the admission, and other details given in the question. Okay, let's go to our ADSQL browser again, and here I'm going to use another join query. Let me clear this old query. Now again we have to join these the four tables we joined in the previous part of the question. Let's join them now. So select for now all the asterisks from exam mark DB, and here's the first table, student, we have to join that table because that's the table which store the name of the student, Sandun Vijayaratna, and let's join that one. I'm using the self join method again, and here's the other table. I'm joining to that student table. Exam mark DB is the database, and then student exam mark record, because that's the table which storing the marks of the student. And here's the condition, or here's the connection between these two tables. On here's the first connection, or here's the first attribute, student table, and here's the attribute, index number should be equal to student exam mark record and student index number. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see these are the two tables we join together, and then let's join the other table. Join exam mark DB, and here's the table name. Subject table, because we need to sort the subject. Let's go to the question again. Actually, we don't need the subject, but we have to show the subject name of the in the result. So that's why we are joining the subject. We only need there are two tables, the student table and the term table. Those are the two tables we should join together, but in order to show the subject name in the result, we have to join this table too. So here I join the subject table, and here's the connection on subject table, and here's the attribute subject ID should be equal to the student exam mark record, and here's the attribute which is foreign from the subject table, student index subject ID. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see here are three tables, and let's join the last table, which is the term table, exam mark DB, and exam term table. We are joining the exam term table on here's the connection between the exam term table and the student exam mark record is student exam term, and here's the attribute exam term ID equal to student exam mark record, and here's the attribute which is foreign from the other table, exam term ID. Okay, now we join those four tables together. Now we can define our we can say the condition. So where when we are defining a condition, we have to use the keyword where, and where here we have to mention the data table name. We are searching the data, or we are sorting the data from the name of the student. You can see the name is break down to two parts, first name and last name in the student table. Let me show you. In the student table, you can see the name is break down to four tables, the two tables, first name and the last name, and then we have to define our condition by the exam date. So that means there are three conditions we have to define. Here's the first one. I'm mentioning the table name, student table, student, and here's the attribute name, first name. Let me put this within two question marks, and condition name should be the student first name should be equal to, here's the value. Let me go to the question. Sandun and then Vijayaratna. Sandun, and here's the second condition. It's the attribute is this last name is in the student table again, so student and then the last name equal to, is the value Vijay Ratna. Let me go to the student table and see, here's the last name. Let me copy that from there, because if I do any mistake when mentioning the name of the student, there will be an error. So here's the name of the student. Okay, here's the student Sandun Vijayaratna, and then here's the last condition. I'm using the keyword and again, and then let's mention the table name exam term, because that's the table which is storing the exam date. Okay, equal to, here's the value 2020 3rd 15. Let's confirm that, yes, 2020 3rd 15, and let's execute this query. You can see these are the three subjects which is faced by the student whose name is Sandun Vijayaratna, and but we need only a specific kind of details. First one is date of the examination, then term, then the admission number. Let's clear this gray question mark and define our attributes. First one is date of the examination, so that's stored in exam table, exam term table, and here's the attribute exam date. Okay, and here I am separating the attributes, and then let's define the next one. Here's the term name. Exam is also stored in the exam term table, and here's the attribute term name. We need the term name, and then the admission number of the student, so that's stored in the student table, so student table, and then the index number of the student, that's the admission number, and then we have to show the name of the student in the result. So name is also stored in the student table, is the student table, and then first name and the last name. And then we have to show the, let me go to the question, we have to show the name of the subject. So it's in the subject table, so subject, and here's the subject name. Okay, here is the final query. Let's execute this one and see the answer. You can see the exam date, the term name, and the index number, first name, last name, and the subject name is in the result. And here we completed our second part of the 22nd question. Let me show you the whole query. This is the whole query we write to get this answer. Let's go to the third part of the question. Find the name of the student find the name, subject, marks, term of the examination, date of the examination of the students who obtain between 40 to 70 marks in the subject of mathematics held on 2020 7/10. Okay, in this case there's a range of databases, the range of results we have to show in our result. So let's go to our HDSQL browser. In order to do that question, you have to use a join query again. So let me clear this old one and write a query to this new one. This is also going to be the same, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Let's start writing the query. Select for now asterisk from exam mark DB. I'm joining the tables first. Exam mark DB, and here's the first one, student, where here's the condition, sorry, not where, we are joining the table, so join, here's the second table, exam mark DB, and here's the, sorry, exam mark DB, and here's the second table, student exam mark record, where on student table, in the student table here I'm mentioning the connection, so index number equal to student index mark record and student index number. Okay, here we join two tables, and then and where index number, and then here's the second one, join and exam mark DB, and then the other two tables. Here's the first one, subject, sorry, subject on, here's the connection, in subject table the student ID is foreign to the student subject ID in student exam mark record. Is the result, and let's join our last table, join exam mark DB, and here's the student, here's the exam term on exam here's the connection, the term ID in exam term table is equal to the exam term ID in student exam mark record. So let's execute this one. Okay, here we combine four tables together, the exam term table, the student table, the student exam mark record table, and the subject table. Okay, now we can define our condition. Let's define that, where let's go to our question. Here we have to first we have to find the students who obtain the marks between 40 to 70, and then the for the subject mathematics, and it's for the exam held in 2020 7/10. Okay, let's define the range, the mark range. So let's go to our HDSQL browser, and here's the first one. I'm defining the table name first. So marks are stored in student exam mark table, and here's the attribute. We store our data mark now we have to use this keyword called between to define the range, or define a range in these kind of queries. So I'm going to use between, and here's the mark range 40 to 70, 40 and 70. Okay, here's the mark range, and then this we have to define another condition, and I'm using the AND command. We define the range, and then we have to find only the record of the mathematics subject. So here I'm mentioning the table name subject, and here's the attribute subject name, should be equal to, and here's the value mathematics. Okay, and then here's another condition. We have to define the date of the exam. Here's the date 2027-10. So date is stored in the exam term table. Let me show you. You can see it's the second term test. So here we have to mention about the table, exam term table, and here's the attribute name, exam date, should be equal to 2020-7-10. Okay, here we write all the condition to our query. Let's execute this one. You can see here are the records which came out from that query, and then you can see this is the final answer, but we don't need all the attributes in this table. We only need, you can see in the question, name, subject, marks, term of the examination, date of the examination of the students. Okay, we have to show the name of the student. So here I am mentioning the table, student table, and then here's the first name, and then here's the last name, let me put this within two gray question marks, and last name. Here's the second attribute, actually the third attribute. We have to show the subject name. So here's the here I'm mentioning the subject table and subject name inside that table, and here's the other one, marks. We have to show the marks of the student, and marks are stored in the student mark record. So student mark record and the mark attribute inside the table. Okay, and here's the other one. We have to show the term, actually the term name of that examination. So it's stored in the exam term table. So exam term table, and then the term name, and here's the last one, the date of the examination. Okay, we have to show the date. So date is also stored in the exam term table, and here's the exam date, and let's execute this one. We complete the query. You can see here are the final record. First name is here, last name is here, subject, marks, and the term and exam date. Okay, here's the full query. Is the complete query. We used to get this answer and we completed the third part of the question. Here's the last one. Who is the highest scoring student in the first term out of all subjects? Okay, that's the last part of the question. Let's go to our HDSQL browser. Let me clear this old query. You can see we have to find the student who scored the highest mark in the first term for all the subjects. So that means we have to join again those four tables: the student table, the exam term table, the subject table, and the student exam mark record table. And then we have to find the maximum mark out of that answer. For that, I'm using the join queries. First, I'm going to join all three tables, and then I'm going to use a sub query to find the maximum mark of the first term test. So let's do that. Here I'm joining the four tables together. Select for now asterisk from. Here's the first table, exam mark DB. Here's the database and here's the table name, student, and I'm joining it by using the self join method. Here's the second one, exam marks DB, and here's the second table, student exam mark record on. This is the connection between these two tables. The ID, the index number of student table, is equal to the index number in the student mark record table. So student mark record table and student index number. Okay, let's execute this one. Okay, you can see the two tables are joined together, and here's the other table. I'm joining the third table to this answer, exam mark DB, and then here's the third one, which is the subject. On the subject ID in the subject table should be equal to the subject ID in the student exam mark record table. So student exam mark record table and the subject ID. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see here are the three tables combined together. Okay, let's connect our fourth table, the last table, which is the exam term table. Join exam mark DB and exam term on. The term ID in exam term table, exam term table, and term ID equal to the term ID in student exam mark record table. So student exam mark record table and exam term ID. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see four tables are connect together with the corresponding order. Let me put this between two gray question marks, and here's the join query. Now I'm going to find the maximum value and feed that data into this query as a condition. So that will only show that will show the maximum the details belong to the maximum mark recorded in the first term test. So let me copy this query to a separate file and write our subquery to find the maximum mark in first term test. Okay, select. For now I need all the details, so here's the asterisk mark. Select asterisk from, and here's the table, like first database and then the table, the student mark record, and where here's the condition, the marks. It's better if we define the table name first. So student exam mark record, and here's the mark attribute, and it should be equal to, here's the next query or the subquery. Select. We are going to feed the ID into this table and find the marks of the first term test. Let me change this one. This should be changed to the term ID. So term ID, exam term ID, and then select. We don't need all the details, we need only the term ID in term exam term table. So here's the term ID from, and I'm mentioning the database name and the table name, exam term table, and here's the condition where we need the ID of the second term test. I'm sorting that data by the term name. So exam term table, and the term name inside that table should be equal to the first term. You have to find the details of the first term. So okay, here's the query. Let's execute this one. You can see here are the marks of the first term test, and we need only the marks of this result. We don't need all the details, only the marks. So here I'm mentioning the table name and then mark. Let me put this between two gray question marks. You can see here are our data. Now I'm going to feed this data into our main query. Actually we need to find the maximum mark out of this one. So we don't need all the marks, we need only the maximum mark of first term test. So I'm using the max max keyword, and here's the table name, the attribute name. First we have to mention the table name, student, and then the mark. Okay, let's find the maximum mark of the first term test, which is 100. Okay, now we can feed this maximum mark into our query we wrote first. Here's the query. Let's cut this one and paste on the here, and here you can see we combine three tables, and now we can search this data using the maximum mark. So here's the condition to that table, where the mark attribute in student mark record is the mark attribute should be equal to, and here's the subquery. Let's put this query within those brackets. Inside the main query we wrote is the two brackets, and here's our query to find the maximum mark of the student. So let's execute this one. You can see here's the student. This is the student who record the maximum mark for all the subjects in the first term test. Now we have to define the attributes or the data we want out from this result. Let's go to our answer. You can see the question is, who is the highest scoring student? That means it's enough to mention the student name and the student first name and the last name. So I'm just mentioning the student's first name and the last name. Is the first name. Before that you have to mention the table name. It's stored in student table, and here's the first name, and then the last name. Okay, let's execute this one. You can see Amanda Moses is the student was the student who recorded the maximum mark in the first term test for all the subjects, and you can see we completed the fourth part of the question, and this is the end of this video, and thank you very much for watching.